Hi, and welcome everyone. We have just been in the United States Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit with our case, Inclusive Louisiana, Mount Triumph Baptist Church, and Rise St. James v. St. James Parish. This is a case about decades of environmental racism and discriminatory siting of industrial facilities in predominantly Black communities in the parish. We are going to now hear from the people who brought this lawsuit, as well as from their legal teams. So we're first going to hear, I will go through and let you know who's coming and then call them up. But first we're going to hear from the ladies from Inclusive Louisiana. Gail LaBeouf will speak alongside Barbara Washington. Then Chamelle LaVine from Rise St. James, followed by Pastor Harry Joseph of Mount Triumph Baptist Church. Then we will hear from Jack Dean from the Tulane Law School Environmental Law Clinic, who argued today, and from the Center for Constitutional Rights attorney Pam Spees. Turning it over now to Ms. LaBeouf.
Good evening, everyone. Most of all, good evening, America. We want you to know that we are the descendants of slaves, and we're fighting the hierarchy that is the descendants of slave owners. It has been 60 years that the stakeholders of Union, Central, Romeville, Convent, St. James, Baytree, Moonshine, and Welcome have been fighting off petrochemical plants and others. How can a judge rule that a statute of limitations on clean air, clean water, and clean soil? There should be none. How can a judge rule that Judge Kane recently ruled against the EPA that they cannot submit equal right laws? How can that be? All our laws are being assaulted upon, and this is what we must fight. In St. James Parish, we're asking for a moratorium for everyone, because there is chronic illness all over St. James Parish, not just in the areas I just named. When COVID came, we were number 3 in the state of Louisiana. Why? Because of our compromised immune systems. So that is why the moratorium is so important. But I want America, for you all to realize that this moratorium lawsuit, most of all, is a shining light inside of the tunnel towards the light at the end of the tunnel. And the light at the end of the tunnel is equal justice for all. Injustice for some of us amounts to injustice for all of us. Thank you for taking your time out today to be with us and be with us in this moment.
And as we end, we just want to say that justice delayed is not justice denied. We fight on.
Good afternoon. My name is Chamelle LaVine, and I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Rise St. James, Louisiana. St. James Parish is not just a location, it is the battleground for climate and environmental justice. Our communities have suffered for far too long from toxic emissions and corporate greed, and we refuse to accept this reality. The 5th District in St. James has 12 petrochemical facilities and over 100 storage tanks of crude oil and gas within a 10-mile radius. Our parish council continues to approve expansions on existing industry in the 4th and 5th districts of St. James that will increase toxic emissions and harm communities that are on the fence line of those industries. They approved the construction of Formosa Plastics in the 5th district near a school, church, and several homes. There is no regard of the graves of the enslaved on the land formerly known as the Buena Vista plantation currently owned by Formosa Plastics. If Formosa Plastics is built, it will emit 800 tons of toxic chemicals each year. Our town of Welcome would not be able to survive. This appeal is more than a legal endeavor. It is a call to action for everyone who believes in the right to a clean and safe environment. It is residents saying no more to being a sacrifice for the rest of the country for single-use plastics, oil, and gas. No more residents suffering from upper respiratory illnesses such as asthma, sinus infections, bronchitis, and pneumonia. No more cancer. No more women having miscarriages, stillbirths, and giving birth to preterm and low birth weight babies. No more rashes and no more nosebleeds. No more new industry. No more expanding in existing petrochemical industry in St. James. The decisions made in this courtroom will resonate far beyond our borders, impacting frontline communities nationwide who are yearning for acknowledgement and accountability. The communities that are echoing our same sentiments, no more. We are advocating for our future and the well-being of our children, ensuring that our voices are heard loud and clear. We are demanding justice that has been denied for too long. With this lawsuit, we are saying no more. We pray that the judges that have heard our arguments today see our humanity and rule in our favor. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Pastor Harry Jones, the pastor of the Mount Tryon Baptist Church, also the president of Rural Louisiana, which is in the St. James Parish, and I've been pastoring in St. James now going on 13 years. And when all this started, I think we started a help organization back in 2012, and I've been working with the help, and then I moved to Rise St. James, and then now I'm with Rural Louisiana. So I've been in this fight for a while, and I look at my position as a pastor that we should be able to stand when nobody else stands. Our pastors should stand because God have called us to serve his people and to protect his people. And that's why I filed for the moratorium with the attorneys and all. And I hope the judges listen to what was said today, because if the parish can get a moratorium for something that is good, such as the farm that they have there, if they can get a moratorium for that, why they can't give us a moratorium for what we know is best for our people, and that is to stop any other plants from coming into St. James. Chamelle just said they got 12 plants in St. James, and those 12 plants have been pollution, and it's been hurting a lot of people. So it's time that we just let them know that enough is enough. And I think now we're at that point to where we know now enough is enough. And we want to thank all of you. We want to thank our attorneys. And I want to thank Tulane personally, because I've been working with Tulane for at least the last 10 years. So Tulane been great for Pam. I've been with you for the past 10 years. So I thank God for all of y'all, and we're going to continue to pray that God continue to lead us in the right direction. God bless you and God keep you is our prayer.
Hello, I'm Jack Dean. I'm a student attorney for the Tulane Environmental Law Clinic. I don't really have much to say other than, one, I'm incredibly honored and grateful to have worked with so many incredible attorneys, both at Tulane and the Center for Constitutional Rights. These are incredible attorneys who clearly are passionate, believe in this case, and have helped uplift me, all other student attorneys, to make sure that this case goes forward. And it's, of course, I think the bigger thing to note is that it's an incredible honor and privilege to work with these clients in particular. I just hope that the court sees very clearly that these clients have suffered and continue to suffer very clear injuries to property, health, to religious access and religious exercise. I hope the court sees that and sees that these injuries are caused by the parish. Yeah, again, it's just such an honor to work on this case, and thank y'all.
So I think I'm last. Pam Spees with the Center for Constitutional Rights. And, you know, like Jack said, it's an incredible honor to be involved in this case and try to bring some sense of justice to what's been happening for far too long. And what we tried to convey in there is that the fact that this has been going on so long is a reason to fast track this case, not not suggest that it was brought too late, because while you're being slammed with new industry and you're trying to survive, and you're going to parish meetings every month to try to fend off one facility after another, somehow you're supposed to know when you have a claim and when you should be bringing it to court, and when the whole thing, and that's what we said, this whole land use system, whether it's written or not, that's the violation. That's the sin here that this case is trying to address. And we're just hoping we can get back down into that court and then amend back into this case everything that's happened since we filed. Because since we filed, the parish has continued to greenlight facilities in the 4th and 5th districts in violation of its own ordinance, and even turned down a solar farm which was offering the parish millions in taxes because the people in the white parts of the parish didn't want to look at it. They didn't want to look at it. And here we're talking about people living in a situation where they are in the 95th percentile for cancer risk and other respiratory illnesses. This is the fact that we're even having to have this conversation about should you have brought it then or should you bring it now is ludicrous. But hopefully the court sees it that way too, and we're back in there and we're rolling forward on this case. Thank you.
Are there any questions?
Yeah, earlier you mentioned kind of like what the lawyers for St. Parish, their argument boiled down to. Do you mind to reiterate that in terms of like what they're arguing, what you see it coming down to about the 2014?
They're basically saying, their argument is what one of the judges pointed out, which is if you don't challenge discrimination within a year of becoming aware of it, too bad, you just have to live with discrimination for the rest of eternity. What would have happened to Oliver Brown and the other plaintiffs in Brown v. Board of Ed if the court had taken that approach on the issue of school segregation? This is what we're talking about here. That's why the argument is so ludicrous, because if there ever was a continuing violation, it's this one, and they've been living in a war of attrition, basically. But that's what's at stake here. So if the court were to accept defendant's argument, and you don't bring a discrimination claim in a certain amount of time, you're out of luck. You just have to live with it, and that's not what the 14th and 13th Amendments were intended for. Thank you.
Can you also explain the difference between the 2014 land use policy and then the 2018 amended version?
Sure, happily. So before 2014, there was no land use plan, but the parish was steering these industries into the 4th and 5th districts. What we've said in this case is that the only reason they even adopted a written plan, was in order to protect white parts of the parish because 2 facilities were trying to locate there. So then they needed something to point to say, no, you can't come here. So that's the origin story of the 2014 land use plan. And they had circular buffers around to protect the Catholic churches in the white parts of the parish. And by the way, when we talk about religious discrimination in St. James, it doubles as racial discrimination. So they were very clear what they were, if you looked at it closely, and some of this can only happen in hindsight, you understand what it was they were trying to do. But then in 2018, somebody wised up and said we shouldn't have an explicit preference for a certain religion on our map, so we should take that off, and we should take off these buffer zones. And so they did. And so then you would think, maybe if you're living in St. James Parish, that maybe that's going to help you a little bit. But then what we start to see over the next few years is that they're still operating according to the old game playbook, right? They are ignoring some of the requirements of that plan when it comes to, there are requirements in the plan that say, if you live in within a 2-mile impact area of a facility, that company is supposed to report that to the parish in its land use application. They routinely fail to do that. And the parish says nothing about it, they just approve it. But you let a solar farm try to locate in a white part of the parish, a solar farm that emits nothing, in a white part of the parish, and these parish council members become experts in public health and solar and everything else, and manage to keep it out. So what you saw after 2018 was the same pattern in practice playing out. And in order to be able to show that this discrimination is intentional, you have to be able to point to this pattern, right? So that you can show that they know what they're doing when they're doing this. Sorry if I sound angry. It is worth being angry, but not at you. So.
No? No more questions? Okay. Well, thank you all for joining us today. And you can look on our website for more information. That's ccrjustice.org. Thanks so much.